So I thought I would take a minute, share some thoughts, elaborate further on a video I did about the reboot of Matrix 1.0. And so here we are now, approaching 2020, and I thought I would put together a visual aid to give you a better understanding of exactly what I'm referring to. And so as you guys can see here, the all-seeing eye. What is the all-seeing eye? That is one of the biggest mysteries, or not, of our lifetime, especially given the fact it's on our Federal Reserve note on the very back of it. But everybody knows that it has to do with the secret nature of a group of individuals or institutions, you name it. But those are the overseers. Those are the creators of this current paradigm we're all a part of when it comes to the interconnectedness of our financial system, monetary system, you name it. And that, makes up the Matrix 1.0 aspect of where we're currently at now. And I think it's only going to get worse from this point on. So who exactly are those that are in control of our current paradigm the way that we know it as of now? It happens to be people labeled as the financial elite. So as you guys can see, at the very pinnacle at the top of this pyramid, outside of the all-seeing eye that we do not know exactly, we all have guessed, we all can assume who they are, but yet how they control the world for the most part happens to be with the central banking model. And so here we have the Bank of International Settlements, we have the International Monetary Fund, we have the World Bank, and then from there we have all the entities that have been bought and paid for in the form of those central banks and the Federal Reserve Bank, the Bank of England, and then it goes down even further to actual corporations, the big banks themselves that are responsible for the current credit extension that we're all a part of and experiencing problems with now. And then, as the too big to fail banks, and you see some pictures on the screen now, but then if you go even further down beneath the totem pole, we have the big corporations, the mega corporations that are a part of this as well. So here you have the initial layout of what Matrix 1.0 has been about. And all along, you and I have been intertwined in this because we work for these entities. We to base our lives upon the very currency that they create and brought into existence for us to use, prolonging and creating this matrix of a monetary system that we're in now. But it only gets worse because nothing gets better from this point on. And it's interesting how there's a lot of people out there that think that this current decade we're heading into, that there's people out there that I consider good guys amongst this equation, when in actuality, I think it's all interconnected. And right now it's starting to become obvious as Uncle Sam here reaches a critical point of almost being flatlined. So how exactly will Uncle Sam flatline? Easily, due to too much debt. At this current moment, it's 23 trillion plus, of which there's no way of paying that back. We're going to have problems eventually just paying the interest on it alone, not to count all the unfunded liabilities of over $100 trillion plus. At this current moment, Uncle Sam is already insolvent and basically coming down the home stretch as far as the remaining opportunity that he has to extend the confidence and trust in this current paradigm. And so between all the Federal Reserve activity and central banking activity around the world in general, not to mention the complete chaos in Washington, D.C. right now, faith and confidence in Uncle Sam is not looking good. And therefore, there's going to be need for some type of reboot of the system. And that's where I think we're heading right now. That's why I believe 2020 will be a time period where all of the initial plans from those that ran Matrix 1.0 will be in full force heading into 2020 because Uncle Sam is having problems. And the rest of the world is waking up to the fact that Uncle Sam can no longer continue on the way that he's been going. So change is inevitable. And the thing is, the change that's coming will be no different than the prior paradigm we were in, apart from the fact that now technology plays a major role in it. And the things that will come from this next decade plus will be things that will limit everything that you've known as having opportunities or freedom or things of that nature, because now we're moving into a digital age. We're leaving the industrial age and we're entering solely into a technological advanced age and society, to where with that itself ushers in Matrix 2.0. One of the biggest things that really has me concerned about this reboot or transition out of the old into the new is the fact is a lot of people may not recognize the fact that 2.0 Matrix has already been underway. And so ever since we've entered into that last recession, The goal was to usher us in slowly into an age where technology becomes a driving force of our lives. So what exactly is 2.0? 2.0 is in everything we're involved in now. Everybody has a cell phone. Everybody has internet access. Everyone has some type of gadget or app or service or feature that's solely based upon a software program on a computer in a web browser somewhere. And so our lives at this current moment already exist in a 2.0 fashion because the internet is the lifeline of the system, and your data is what the next digital gold has become, because everything you do online is being tracked, traced, and monitored. And there's a portfolio of all your activities that highlights and showcases who you are as a person. And all that information is being held by the very entities that we've grown to use, with them all offering us some type of free service, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or you name them, whatever your favorite app or service is, it's free. And it's not free because they love you so much and they care about providing you such a great service. It's because they're keeping your data. They're using your data as a way of preparing you for the solely digital age that we're transitioning into. So 2.0 is currently underway right now, and you're already in it, but yet you may not have seen all the ways that it's going to be interconnected and who actually owns it. So now I'm going to share with you 7 key industries, or CF 7 areas that will make up the full completion of Matrix 2.0 when it's all said and done. And as I hinted at first, internet, the Internet of Things. To simply define it, a system of interrelated computing devices, mechanical, digital machines, objects, animals, or people that are provided unique identifiers. And so that's an official definition from Wikipedia to tell you about the interconnected of utilizing the internet. The internet is the bloodline of this Matrix 2.0. Without internet, there will be no interconnectedness. There will be no way of trying to bring this all together using data as the next form of digital gold per se. The next pillar of this new Matrix 2.0 is augmented reality. And simply put it, that's just using the gadgets in and of themselves and adding digital elements to the live view usage of the camera. And so a good example would be a trending app or something of that nature, where it puts like a spider or something on the person's face. And so I've seen a lot of parents out there having their child in front of the camera and having a spider crawl up their face, and really not knowing the harm they're doing with stimulating their brains and scaring the mess out of these kids. This is a way of using the technology to include you in on it by placing some type of object or something of that nature, like, the game Pokemon Go and Snapchat lenses, all the filters or whatnot on top of the camera aspect, which provides entertainment, but also it draws people in further to this matrix of a reality, because it's one of the things where people become used to having all these extra features on top of these apps and services. And this just plays more into the whole matrix aspect. The next one, virtual reality, where you simply close out the outside world, you put on some glasses, you put on something that removes you from the actual physical world, and it places you into a digital society to where you're solely immersed, you're completely immersed into a digital created reality, of which you guys know there's a lot of video games or whatnot, and there's been a big push by a lot of high-tech companies to create a more immersion of an experience for people. And of course, this plays further into creating a reality that doesn't exist. And this plays directly into the very movie, The Matrix itself, how we were all plugged into a society. And so the virtual reality is one of the 7 pillars that equates to the further advancement of 2.0 that you're already a part of. Since the great financial crisis, what new technology has excited the public most other than the blockchain technology? And of course, my initial thought and idea was the fact that blockchain in of itself is nothing new, but rebranded in a sense where they've used such words as decentralized, privacy, and all types of other terminologies to get a lot of people excited, knowing all along that it's one of the pillars that's a part of 2.0 in and of itself. And so now as the monetary system starts to have its issues, now we have central banks all of a sudden talking about having digital currencies and all types of the same terminology that's been used over this last decade. Blockchain in and of itself was a part of the initial design, and it's one of the pillars towards this whole completion of the Matrix 2.0. And so it's one of the things where even though it has its benefits, but it's all a part of the original game plan. So is it of really surprise to most people? It shouldn't be, because it's one of the pillars that completes this whole puzzle. One of the most interesting pillars, amongst many others, happens to be 3D printing, or three-dimensional objects that's created from a computer file. And so, of course, there's a lot of stories on this of how there's been houses manufactured in a couple of hours, cars being printed up. And so this technology in of itself is very easy and efficient, but it's one of the things that plays further along into creating a more convenient and easy style of life for us. Not to mention that all the things that will be printed in the days ahead used to be built by human hands. And so if we have things being printed from a computer file that's used over the internet, that's paid for by blockchain, that's designed to create a virtual artificial world for us, once again, it's all part of the Matrix 2.0, and it's already been done now, and it will only get better as time goes on. Every major company right now is racing to get something in the air, whether it be Facebook and their copter that provides internet service in Africa, or Amazon looking to send your groceries via drone. The drone technology space is something that I personally tend to really be excited about, but it's one of the things where it plays into the next line of transportation. Pretty soon, we're all going to be flying in the air on some type of helicopter or hovercraft type of ordeal. And those are all the things that as kids we all dreamed about. And so it's currently being built right now, and it's underway, and it furthers how we're going to be transported in the future utilizing the drone technology. It's unfortunate that the most disruptive out of all of these technologies primarily will be the change in how human labor is no longer needed because of the advancements of this technology as 2.0 unfolds and robots become the driving force for actual creation of goods and services, security, and you name it. There's going to come a point where as 2.0 further moves along, that robots will become a major player in everyone's lives, all the way from having your own private robot in your house, all the way to you possibly losing your job because of the automation aspect of in using robots. Further awareness of what's going on with this 2.0 movement. The sad part about all this, it all circles back to the original source of Matrix 1.0. Who funds all these operations? Who's the primary financiers of all these different entities that makes up what will be considered 2.0? It happens to be the very same sources that enslaved humanity initially with that pyramid society. And they're at the driving force of all this. And what are they eventually trying to do? Utilize artificial intelligence, connected all those things around this pyramid to a single source that will control everything at some particular source somewhere on this planet. And it's all going to be backed by the same entities that created 1.0. In my personal opinion, they're the overseers of this 2.0 model that we're currently in now. And it's unfortunate that a lot of people don't see it that way, but it's all interconnected. Nothing new under the sun. And the very same individuals that created 1.0 is definitely in charge of what's going to be considered 2.0 as we move further into it. So to sum this all up, is there that much difference between Matrix 1.0 and 2.0? You tell me. In the middle of all this is a government that's desperate to do anything needed to stay alive. And so just to continue this on, if Matrix 1.0 is coming to an end, and here we have Uncle Sam caught in the middle, and he's basically down, out, on his way out, what better way to revitalize Uncle Sam than other than trying to reboot the system and incorporate Uncle Sam in this mix by adding all these new features that we've becoming very used to because they're convenient, they're easy, and they make life supposedly easier for us. But all along, it's all a part of a game plan that far outsees anything that we're actually aware of, and it's all by design. And as you see, the pyramid at the top of 1.0, and you see the pyramid in the middle of 2.0, it's all a controlled operation that I believe is designed to continue on what has already been done with very little variation from what we have now. So thought I would take a minute to share this. What are your thoughts? Leave a comment down below. Once again, if you find this informative, share this with your friends so they'll know what's going on, and looking forward to doing more videos like this. See you later.